Hello, I'm Steph from IDRIVEACLASSIC and we're back for another episode of Rust to Roadworthy, and time is ticking because this is one of our, I think this is our last day or second to last day, if I can squeeze a bit more work out of Kev tomorrow, before the NEC Classic Car Show, which is unnerving because there's so much left to do. But anyway, what have we been doing? Well, Kev's obviously been busy because the car's turned itself around from when I last saw him. And when I walked in earlier, I found him on the floor and I thought, oh God, he's either keeled over or he's actually doing something. And thank goodness he was doing some work. So today, it'll be seal on, I imagine. Is that what we're going for, Kev?
Yeah, it needs to be done today.
Seal on, so we'll get Kev to talk through what he's going to do, and then I'm going to carry on rubbing down these panels and then get some primer on them. I think that's probably the best way to proceed with everything. Oh God, there is so much left to do. Right, Kev, tell us how you've got on with the seal so far, and what we need to get done.
Monday morning, horrendous weather, rotten marina. What could possibly go? What could possibly not get you motivated on a Monday morning? Any road, it's got to be done. So today it's the seal on. That's what I'm going to do today. At least, fortunately, it's not too cold and too damp in here, I'm glad to say. So I've got to repair the inner sill. We did the inner sill inside the car on Friday. That was all right. And so now it's the inner sill that sort of drops down. Which is probably nearly, nearly the full length of the car. So we've got to cut this down, clean it all off, and grind it back and weld it in place, and then fill it all up with some red lead paint, as it's a box section, and a bit of sealer. So hopefully, well, the sill should be done today. I can't see any reason why not. And yeah, and then we'll see how we go on from there.
This is the weird thing, right? So I watched the last video back and I realised that I've become so consumed with staring at these little areas and showing you these little areas that I haven't actually shown you where we've got to with the car so far. And look, I know it doesn't look incredible, but bear in mind we're going for Rust to Roadworthy, not Rust to Concourse, but I don't think we could probably ever get Tina back to Concourse. But it's okay because I don't think every car is supposed to be Concourse. But anyway, I wanted to show you where we got to, because you know what? I have put so much work into this car and there's still so much work to do. But the thing is because we've been so fixated on saying, right, we've done this in this area, or we've done this in this area. We've shown you that, but we haven't really shown you the entire car. So here she is in all her glory. And my God, haven't we got a way to go? There is so much left to do and only 2 days in which left to do it. Now, I know that one of the questions is going to be, Steph, why haven't you taken the bright work off the car? And for anyone who doesn't know that lingo, that's like your chrome and all your rest of it. Well, first of all, did you know that the front bumper is seized on and we're going to have to chop it off at some point? But I said to Kev, I said, you know what, we'll do that in January as opposed to doing it now, because in January we're going to do all the paint, spring even, we're going to do all the paint work properly and get it all sorted. So I said, we'll sort it out then. We're not going to touch it now. And a lot of the other chrome work will come off at the same time. This for now is just to get it smart enough to come to the NEC to see you all and show you what's involved in a project car, because I feel like when you watch these things back on telly, they always seem to make out like, oh, we had 3 days to do it and we did it. And I was a little bit like that before we started. I've watched way too many of these TV programmes. I thought it was going to be so much easier, and I'd rather just be honest with you and show you what's involved. And you can see here we've still got some chrome trim. I'm going to get that off today. But by and large, this is what we're working with. This is exactly how it is. This is where we've got to. And although in many ways it looks worse than day one, it is actually structurally so much better than where we started in the beginning. But every time I look at this, I just think, oh God, I've got so much left to do. And by the way, those rubber trims around the windows, I know they need to come out. Again, that's a bit of a next year job. There's no way I'm going to get this done yet, but we're going to get it looking cheap and cheerful, ready for the NEC. And in today's video we're going to show you what we're doing on the rest of it. Today's main focus, of course, is that sill. For me, it's just the bodywork, getting some of this tarted up. As you can see here, a lot of this I haven't had chance to rub back yet, but some of it I have, and it does look better. I reckon with a bit of primer on, it will look so much better. A lot of what I think my discontent is linked to is the fact that it just looks really scrappy with everything everywhere. But hey, let's crack on. Now, this probably isn't something you'd see if you were going to watch one of those polished telly programmes where they start restoring cars, but you're watching two people do it in a home garage. And this bit of kit essentially just cuts the metal, but you'll have seen my feet there. And Kev said, can you just weigh it down so it doesn't ping up? So anyway, I'm stood there, and it's very low risk if we were to do a risk assessment, because the machine's not going to topple over. It's a very simple old cutter, and what Kev's doing is he's cutting this metal down, and he's going to talk to you about this later on in much better tech speak. And then essentially what it's going to do is going to sit in this space here. Now don't worry, it's not just plating over the top, it's going to get all cleaned back down again. But you can see here it's just checking that it fits. Now you might be wondering why I haven't got Kev talking about this over the top. And part of the reason was because he was swearing about just how bad it was as he was popping it on. So I thought I'll just chat to you over the top. Now, there you go, you see him cleaning it all up. So basically cleaned all of that up. As he's talked about, was red lead in the box section. It was all Q-rusted, everything was treated. So we didn't leave any stone unturned. We didn't leave any rusty metal under there either, because essentially it would just be doing a load of work for what? For it to rot back out again. So again, everything got cleaned up and it got treated before that section got put back in again, which is quite a lengthy bit of work. And then you check the fit of this panel. Now, Kev's going to tell you later on that this panel is better than a BMC panel. And this being an obsolete car, it is notoriously hard to get bits for. We've talked about how you can't get front wings, but there is a chap called Ben Clayton. And Ben Clayton produces Marina panels, and I bought this is the only panel I've bought off Ben so far anyway, and I am really impressed with it. It was relatively cheap, it was under £100. Can't remember what I paid. I think it was around the £50-60 mark. It might have even been cheaper than that actually. And yeah, as you can see, it's a blooming good fit for such a cheap cost. Anyway, you can see the man in action. He's got to work straight away. No tea break for Kev straight away. But yeah, just moving into all of it. And remember, if you're doing this at home and you are putting new sills in, you want to be allowing, especially if it's as bad as my car, maybe 2, even 3 days, if it's not something you've perhaps done before, just for one side. It is incredibly lengthy work. So if you see a car on eBay that you like and you think, it only needs the sills, realistically, look, if it's bad, this is how much work is going to be involved. Well, it's tea break o'clock, which is always a good time to take stock of where you are with everything. Whilst Kev's been busy doing all the welding down there, and I'll get him to talk about that in just a minute, I thought I'd tell you what I've been doing, because I tend to be doing the more silent work that maybe you don't see as such a big wow like you do with this sill. So I've been basically walking around with this block in my hand with the 80 grit sandpaper and just rubbing down some of those areas that we have filled so far. So I've started going back on this, and my God, what a hell of a job this is. And I've just put the battery back on charge actually for the for the grinder, because I'm taking back that front balance, and it is a right pig of a job. There's like some sort of black tarry stuff on, and I'm just cutting through it to try and get around the rot and to try and see how bad it is. But you know what, let's just get it done, let's just see what it's like. So we're getting that done. I've done a little bit of rubbing down on that arch, so that's kind of ready to go now. So realistically, this wing, I would say for me, is about 80% of the way there. That wing on that side isn't too bad. And then, as I say, it's just these little patches of filler. So I did these door tops on this side. I'll tell you what is really concerning me, and actually we're not going to touch it till after the NEC, is that back section, because you remember Kev said in the video before that it had filler in. As I've been cutting back in various bits, it's just so much filler. So I think actually that needs some special attention when we get home. Let's see what that's like. But for now, I'm not going to prod that hornet's nest too much, because there's just no point and we don't have the time. If we're another week, I would probably have a go at
pushing it and seeing how bad it is, but not today. Because of course we've got the filler tank, the fuel tank out, I thought I'm going to have a go around that filler cap. So I've done all of that today. As you can see, it was quite rusty. I've taken that all back, banged some Cure-Rust on that. And then there's been some other rusty patches as well that I've started cutting back on around where the rear bumper attaches and various other little bits and pieces. But mostly, as you can see, it's just been rubbing back where that filler goes. And then, oh my goodness, how could I forget to tell you? So we decided, we'd done this arch and we were like, this one is not too bad. Let's have a look at the arch on the other side. And you know what? It's proven to be the best. So we took that off. It took me about 5 minutes of prep just to sand back the areas with, I did that with a grinder on that side, so I took that back with a grinder. Again, with the 80 grit disc on, took all the rust off there. Going to treat that again with Cure-Rust. And then what I'm going to do is go in with the filler once again to fill in those holes, because I'm not putting the chrome trim back on. It's just a rot trap. There's no point, as we've talked about in previous videos. And I think those are my achievements for this morning. So this afternoon, I want to, I hate doing it, but I'm going to get that front valance sorted out. It's going to be a right horrible little job. And I'm going to try and tart that back end up, because tomorrow I think we're going to start putting a bit of red lead on the doors and various other bits and pieces. So yeah, it's finally starting to come together. I'm very thankful that we do have an extra day now to get a few extra bits sorted, because it would just, I think, add a little bit of pizzazz. But anyway, that's enough of what I've been doing with this sanding block and the 80 grit paper. Let's talk to the man who's making the real impressive progress. Let's find out what Kev's been doing.
Right, well, we've made good progress on this now. Repaired the inner sill all the way along, top, seam welded it all from front to back, and we've got a reasonable gap. The sill is actually quite a good fit, so that's congratulations to whoever made the sill. It fits better than they did do back in the day, to be honest. So we've got a nice even gap everywhere, and so I'm going to weld it, but on the top I'm going to plug weld it, which a plug weld is quite simply you drill through the new panel, which is the sill, and then you weld through the top of it, and the penetration goes down straight into the remaining flange at the top, and then we can just grind that off. And then underneath I'll seam weld it all the way along the bottom, because it's brand new metal there, so there's no issue at all there. And then we just need to fill it at the front with a steel, because this is just a skin sill and not the full sill. Because if we don't do something with that, there's a great big hole, so all the water will go into this sill and eventually rot it out. So obviously we don't really want to do that. So then that's basically, hopefully today the welding will be finished on it. We're just going to tidy it up inside. There's some more welding on that near side rear that was spotted on the inner bit that needs to be sorted out. But yeah, hopefully today the welding will be finished and I can put the welder away, hopefully for a very, very long time, because the novelty of welding is wearing off.
It's funny because Kev's doing such good work on that sill. He said to me, he said, make yourself useful, go and prep all the panels that you can in the time you've got left today with the DA sander. And I said, why? He said, oh, just crack on and do it. And I thought, well, I'm going to trust someone who knows what they're doing. But anyway, oh my goodness, I tell you what, my arms hurt from this project. It has been exhausting. But as you can see, it's incredibly visually rewarding, because the car now looks, in my opinion, much better than it did when we looked at it at the start of this video. So I'm really pleased that we filmed that, actually, because sometimes you look back on these things, you think, oh, it feels like I've done nothing or achieved nothing. But actually today, visually, I think it does really show. Now, if you're wondering how you prep a panel for paint, basically if you go back and watch the video where we've done the bonnet, we talk through how to do it all. But with this, I was just using 80 grit.
Well, it's 5 to 5, and what that used to mean in the 70s when I was a young man was it's crackerjack. However, it's marina time. So as you can see, I've been on this, I've got the sill on now, but what a job. It's been because obviously I'm still recovering this blooming arm, which is not good. But done it all, seam welded it all along the bottom there, plug welded it from the top, welded it here where it meets this arch here, and it's all good. So that's absolutely solid now. It's certainly more solid than it was with body filler and chicken wire and a copy of The Sun from 1986 that we found in it when we were doing it. So, but yeah, so basically that's it. So tomorrow there's just a little bit of welding on that back sill, and then the welding on this quality pre-loved car is now finished, I'm glad to say. So tomorrow, finished. And then we need to just prep it all up and see how we're going. And I've got to seal it up inside where it meets, where the inner sill meets the floor inside, and then give it a coat of red lead underneath, and yeah, there we go. So it's been a very difficult day, to be honest, but I now realise how much I hate welding.
Okay, that's it from me today. My goodness, I am exhausted, but I imagine Kev is probably twice exhausted after all that welding. It's probably a bit of a strange video because we've had to chop in and chop out because we've both been so busy, because tomorrow is our last day of prep before the car rolls off to the NEC. And I'm really excited and a little bit nervous, and I've talked about this already, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of you. And obviously I'll have seen you by the time you watch this video, which is really weird. And I'm really nervous to introduce you to Tina properly. You know, you can get to see all the grimy bits, the bits that we've done, the bits that we've still got to do. You know, I'm very transparent. I want you to come and see it. I want you to see what's involved in a project car that didn't cost very much money at all. I've had some really good memories in this car, and I cannot wait to make more. Got a bit more to do tomorrow. We'll do a final sum up tomorrow. This doesn't mean the end of the series. It just means Kev gets a little bit of time off to go on holiday before we crack on after the NEC. But that's it from me today. Tune in next week. We'll have some road tests in between. But until then, take care and drive safely.